knowledge clip, I will talk about species traits, their significance in ecological science, and their relevance to climate change ecology. First of all, what are traits? Three different aspects of traits can be distinguished, namely functional traits, ecological traits, and life history traits. Species functional traits can be defined as any morphological, biochemical, physiological, structural, phenological, or behavioral attributes of an organism that influences fitness, their responses to the environment, and ecosystem responses. For example, the color of the fur of Arctic fox and red fox is a morphological trait. Ecological traits emphasize species' requirements for their habitat, how they use their habitat, and their ecological roles in the ecosystem processes. For example, red fox naturally occurs across the entire northern hemisphere, whereas the natural habitat of Arctic fox is Arctic tundra, where snow covers the landscape in the winter. Life history traits are used to describe a species or population's reproductive strategy. It includes factors such as the number, size, and sex ratio of offspring, the timing of reproduction, age and size and maturity and growth pattern, longevity, and so on. For example, both red fox and Arctic fox reproduce once a year in the spring, so that cubs have enough food in the summer to grow and have higher chance to survive the winter. Traits provide a great angle to study many interesting ecological topics, such as ecosystem functioning, community assembly, species response to disturbance, and range dynamics. Now I will elaborate on ecosystem functioning and species response to disturbance. Studies of plants show that functional diversity, rather than just the species number, contributes to productivity and nutrient cycling efficiency, because trait differences among species enable complementarity of resource use. For example, sun plants and shade plants complement each other in light absorption. Similarly, species may be efficient in either nitrate uptake or ammonium uptake. A composition of both functional types close nitrogen cycling loop more seamlessly than a community where only one type presents. As a result, productivity and nutrient cycling efficiency positively correlates to functional diversity. Traits may also determine how species and community respond to disturbance. In a study about tropical forest birds, ecologists found that long-lived, large, non-migratory forest specialists with primarily fruits or insects as a diet are more sensitive to human land use than short-lived, small, migratory, non-frugivorous insectivorous generalists. On top of that, traits can be used to predict community assembly. They're also well-known drivers of invasion ecology and range dynamics. The close relation between traits and range dynamics leads me to my last topic, traits and climate change ecology. Traits are a good candidate to project species range shifts as response to climate change. It is expected that species with greater dispersal ability, reproductive potential, and ecological generalization will have larger range shifts. It is easy to understand that species with larger body size or more migratory behavior can relocate relatively easily. Once arrived in a new area, species with fast life history strategies may establish a viable population relatively quickly. Whether a species can persist in the new area will also depend on its ability to find appropriate food and habitat. Species with a greater diet or habitat breadth should be more likely to find suitable resources and should therefore show greater range shifts than specialists. Are the expectations proven true? Well, not all of them. Meta-analysis found that body size, fecundity, and diet breadth showed no significant effects on range shifts. Multiple studies even reported results that contradicted predictions. But for habitat breadth and for traits directly related to movement ability, significant positive effects were found on range shifts. This somehow surprising result seems to suggest that species traits alone is not sufficient to predict variation in range shifts, which is also affected by other factors such as niche tracking, phenotypic plasticity, and evolution. Hopefully, future research will provide us more insights in those areas.